Before you dislike this video because you're a huge Saquon Barkley fan, or comment something like, how could you say that about a player of Saquon's caliber, or you're just a huge Christian McCaffrey fan, I'll explain why a running back in today's league should never be taken in the top 10 in the NFL draft. Just be patient and hear me out on why this should not happen. But before we dive into that, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. For starters, let's take a look at the past 10 Super Bowl champions, or the champions of the 2010s. In 2010, the Packers won the Super Bowl with a 27-year-old Aaron Rodgers who went 4-0 as a starter that postseason. Their leading rusher in the regular season was a player most people listening to this video have probably never heard of, and that was Brandon Jackson. He had 700 yards rushing in the regular season and averaged just 3.7 yards per carry. They became champions and had a, let's just be honest here, awful running game. Aaron Rodgers was second on the team with 356 yards rushing, and he led the team in rushing touchdowns with 4. This says enough about this team right here. They couldn't effectively run the football and were still champions. Now, I'm not saying running backs are irrelevant, but what I'm saying is an elite top-tier running back simply is not needed to win a championship. I'm not going to dive into every championship winning team as in-depth as I did with the Packers from the 2010s, but the only teams with a 1,000-yard rusher on their way to a Super Bowl title were the 2012 Ravens, the 2013 Seahawks, and the 2016 Patriots. The players that had those seasons were Ray Rice, who was a second-round pick in 2008, Marshawn Lynch, who was a first-round pick for Buffalo in 2007. However, Lynch was traded to Seattle for just a 4th and a 5th round pick. LeGarrette Blount was the 1,000-yard rusher in 2016, and he had an insane 18 rushing touchdowns that year, and he was acquired as a free agent in 2014 after being released by the Steelers. The common thing here is none of these teams spent a high first-round pick on a running back and became champions. Football is the ultimate team game, and there's a reason that every year since 1997, a quarterback, an offensive tackle, or edge rusher or defensive end has been taken with the first overall pick. And I'd like to get something clear. Now, I'm not hating on Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey or Zeke for that matter. It's just running backs aren't taken in the top 10 in this era like they used to be. The positional value just isn't there. I've been a big fan of Saquon since his freshman year of college at Penn State in 2015, but he had more wins in his junior year in 2017 at Penn State, 11, than he has in his first 2 years of his NFL career with 9. The Giants are just 9-23 since they drafted Saquon, and obviously this doesn't fall on his shoulders, let me get that clear, because he can only do so much. My point is Saquon had a phenomenal rookie season, an all-time rookie season, and had over 2,000 total yards and 15 total touchdowns, all for a 5-11 record. Meanwhile, a player who was drafted 30 picks later, Sony Michel, had 900 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns, and his team won the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Patriots were a much better team than the Giants. I'm not even trying to compare that, but the point stands. A running back even as good as Saquon just should not be taken in the top 10 in the draft in today's era because it doesn't translate to wins. Let me rephrase this, rather, a running back should not be taken in the top 10 with the intention to build around that player. Running backs have such short careers in today's NFL, and especially running backs who touch the ball as much as Saquon does. By the time a player like Daniel Jones develops, Saquon could end up like Todd Gurley, where his career looks to be a fraction of what it was just 2 to 3 years earlier. If a team like the Patriots traded up to get him and paired him with Tom, or the Packers for example, then I wouldn't have a problem with one of those teams taking him in the top 10 because they don't have to work him like a dog for 4 to 5 years and prematurely end his career. Obviously, I hope this doesn't happen with Saquon, but as we've seen with the Rams and the Steelers with Le'Veon Bell, it's not uncommon to run a running back as hard as the team can for 4 to 5 years, and then to cut ties with them without ever giving them the big contract they deserve. This backfired for the Rams as they did give Gurley a big payday, only for injuries to catch up to him, and it handcuffed them into releasing him. A player like Adrian Peterson, who was drafted number 7 overall in 2007, is an exception and not the rule. He has over 3,000 career carries, and he is 8th all-time in that category. Todd Gurley has over 1,200 carries, and we've seen what his body has done over the past few years. Drafting a running back in the top 10 in today's age is extremely risky from a durability standpoint, but it's also risky in terms of how much time a general manager has to get a roster right. People's patience in today's world is at an all-time low with how technologically advanced we are, and some owners don't have the patience for waiting around. If the Giants turn around miraculously this year and go to the playoffs and prove me wrong, then so be it. I would want that to happen because that would mean my guy Saquon is finally seeing team success rather than just personal success, and he at times has expressed displeasure with the consistent losing in New York. I just don't see, especially in 2020, any way the Giants get to the playoffs, and that's not a knack on them, it's more so because of Philly and Dallas being in the same division. Another big reason not to take running backs in the top 10 is because of the production teams can get much later in the draft. Let's take a team like the Saints, for example, who have Alvin Kamara as their starting running back. He was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2017 draft and has made the Pro Bowl every year of his career. No, not every later round running back turns out like this, but they had 2 first-round picks that year, and one of them was Marshawn Lattimore, and the other was all-pro tackle Ryan Ramczyk. That was an all-time draft class, and I realize that, but the point is to draft positions of high value in the first round, like cornerback, like tackle, like a pass rusher, and then draft positions of lesser value later, while still getting good production. I don't think there's anyone, or at least there shouldn't be anyone, that disputes Saquon being better than Kamara. However, what's not even close to a discussion is how much better the Saints are than the Giants, and of course having Drew Brees and Michael Thomas helps with that, I'm not denying that, but drafting positions of value early makes a major difference. Another example of this is with San Francisco and their running backs. We know the Raheem Mostert story with getting cut 6 times and how he overcame that, but in 2019 they drafted Nick Bosa with a 2nd overall pick, and he looks to be the future of the position. He is a game changer. He dominated the Super Bowl, and they were a Patrick Mahomes comeback away from being champions. By the way, this video was not meant to hate on Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey by any means, as they are in my opinion the top 2 players at the running back position. It's just their position is not worth the top pick in the draft if the franchise plans to build around them for the reasons described in today's video. I hope you gathered out of the video that, and not that I have an agenda against either player, because I do not. They are great and represent the NFL in positive ways both on and off the field. And if you missed it the past few videos, I will be doing giveaways soon, and trust me, you do not want to miss out on them. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.